Well, welcome back to this week's episode of Talking Derry City, episode 5, and I'm joined here with Michael Wilson, not Kevin McLaughlin, who gave me so much grief for going away, Mick, and then decides they head to Spain. Joker.
I don't know what to say. I mean, there's 3 games in the new season and I've been here twice. This is a disgrace.
Well, backed by popular demand, like you get some good plaudits. There was one person said to me like you were half decent, so we got you back on, and unfortunately it's in the back of a defeat, first defeat of the season. As you said, we're only 3 games in, but there's been a big furore made of this first defeat.
Look, you have to sort of caveat everything we're going to talk about tonight. And we probably will. We will talk about things that a lot of people aren't happy about. But the caveat straight away is that this is 3 games into a new season. So let's, park that behind everything we're going to say. But like Friday was so disappointing. I mean, the worry, and I know I'm going to certainly contradict myself here by saying we're 3 games in, but the worry is that they've almost got worse, the performances as we've gone along. Because I mean, you had the late drama in the opening game, more late drama in the second one. When we got a draw that one, we thought, okay, a blip, you still got a draw. But Friday just felt flat. I don't know about you, but it seemed to be that Bows were comfortable for a lot of it.
Well, I get the feeling now a lot of Derry City fans, and they're getting a bit agitated because of what we're seeing, and we're not seeing any drastic improvement. There was a lot of hope with the new signings made, but I think now we're not seeing any relationships, any link-ups with these patterns of play that we're getting us excited that we thought would be materialised by now. They've had a pre-season together. It's just there's a lot of question marks over what we've seen over the 3 games. Bohemians, we thought it might be a different kind of game because it would be opening up, but it didn't materialise like that. It was up and tuck, and there was a couple of it's all moments in games, isn't it? And there was chances for Josh Thomas, and there was chances for James Clark as well, who had the post. Apart from that, there was nothing, no real consistency. It's very, very disjointed, and that's the issue here.
Well, that's probably the main thing you're talking about, because it was one of those games where it felt like first goal was always going to dictate everything, and that's probably how it worked out. But when you were looking at the 2 teams in the cold light of day, Bows seemed to be playing to more of a defined pattern of play, more of a defined structure than Derry were. I'm sure Derry fans were looking at Sam Todd, having a bit of a stormer in defence, thinking, well, that's a guy we got rid of, things like that. It wasn't. You have to throw that caveat in, because it was a worldly of a winner, and the keeper I actually thought he'd done well to get his hand to it, touch on the bar. I wouldn't blame anybody on that. And had Derry went up the other end and Mickey Duffy thrown a free kick in, they could very easily have won the game too. But I don't think even winning the game would have papered over the cracks that people have seen in the 3rd game. I mean, it does not take a genius to see that the team is lopsided. I mean, there is no right side to speak of in terms of a natural right side. If you're going to attack, especially teams as they do sitting in the Brandywell, sitting so deep, I mean, the key word would normally be width. And Derry don't have that. Derry seem to channel everything towards the middle, which, into a cluttered area. We seem to have gathered up a lot of very, very talented number 10s, but we sort of need a right winger and a right back. There is the balance. I'm sure Tiernan would say something similar himself.
He did say that, Mickey. He's saying the imbalance in the squad he's trying to correct. Now, we can get on to that and the recruitment and, who he's brought in and the vision that he has here in pre-season. It's a big window. He's had 12 new players. I say 12 because we're sitting here Sunday night, and Barry Cotter has signed for Derry City. It hasn't been announced at this stage. By the time the podcast comes out, I'm sure it will have been, but it's just at the minute they're waiting international clearance. That answers a bit of the problem, because he is naturally right-sided. He can play right wing back, right back. I know they've been sort of courting him for a while. When Ronan Boyce went, we had a big void there. Bannon's been on. 3 different players have played for the opening 3 games. You've had Bannon, you've had Winchester came on there, and then on Friday night we had Ben Doherty, which we'll touch upon, who had a decent game.
Thought he done well,
but again, all left-sided and uncomfortable, and that's the issue with all these players playing in the wrong positions.
Ben's natural instinct is to turn on.
He kept on the left, and he was like, you're not going to get that width. Cotter, great signing. Mick Swales, he's obviously it was in Barnsley, and he was out on loan at Notts County. He's been at Shamrock Rovers. Went out on loan at St Pat's, so he's definitely got the qualities. It's just getting the best out of this guy. So
he's definitely got the pedigree you're talking about. Like, that pedigree that's the sort of boy you want to be bringing in, definitely. But I'm sure Derry fans are looking at the first 3 games of the season going, Ronan Boyce, wherefore art thou? I mean, I don't think too many of them understood Ronan being let go in the close season. They understood it even less after 3 games when we're seeing, and there are patches of good play, it's not all doom and gloom, but anybody looking at those matches would say that Derry were so lacking any sort of right-hand side. I mean, which made the decision to let Ronan go, or maybe Tiernan will say it was Ronan's own decision. I'm not sure of the whole intricacies. I'm not in the dressing room, but it looked bizarre. Now, Cotter will hopefully redress at least that side, probably in the defensive side of things, let's be honest. He's more than likely to play a right back.
Right back, he'll be right wing back if it chooses to go.
And that'll give you hopefully somebody moving forward as well, up and down that wing, because
might help Markey, because I think Markey's lost there in that right wing. Yeah. He's not a right winger. He plays widest of all the new players that have come on. The Clark's going to be tucking inside, and something I didn't really understand, because the President's Cup final we were down at Tala, and Markey was playing as a number 10. He was playing on field, and you had Clark outside the right. I'm not saying Clark's on the right wing, because
probably not his preferred position.
Definitely not. But they were linking up really well. They were interchanging, but Markey was more or less on that number 10, where he played at Drogheda. He plays centrally at Drogheda, and we got the best out of him. I mean, that's why we signed him. But now with Cotter there, it gives them that kind of the license they kind of float inside a wee bit as well.
Well, you will have that person, which they don't. What they haven't had in the 3 games is somebody going down the outside. And I mean, I don't know if you noticed it on Friday night, but Derry's probably their best period of playing the match, I thought, was the last 10-15 minutes of the first half, when what to me seems quite an obvious thing is, like, I know Mickey Duffy's fantastic on the left, but he's a great right footer, and he's still going to do damage on the right. So Mickey shifted across for 5 or 10 minutes. Clark, as you said, went out for 5 or 10 minutes, and all of a sudden the right flank started to function. Maybe not flying, because they didn't, as I say, Ben would tend to underlap rather than overlap due to the left foot, but it started to work. So you have that option of pushing Mickey to the right-hand side.
Well, that's another thing. And then you've got James, so the James McLean could go out onto that left wing where we know we can play. I know that, like, the talk about, round holes and square pegs and round holes or whatever that saying is. Mick, you can help me out there, because I don't know.
I'm just checking subtitles there, no.
But that's what everybody's seeing. They're going, right, James is obviously all the new signings, they've all got pedigree of playing at the top level in Ireland. James's CV, just stands out in terms of what he's achieved at international level and in England, the Premiership. He's still, for all his experience, he's not used to playing like that central midfield, defensive midfield role. He's going to be awkward getting it at times. And that's what the thing I get. It's glaringly obvious the confidence is not there with that squad, because everybody's playing. Not everybody, but a few of them are playing out of position, and that's going to knock your confidence. They're not confident receiving the ball. If they're left footed and they're playing the right side, they're taking an extra touch. It's going to make them slow the game down, And it's just at the minute these are all fixable problems. We've got quality in that team.
But you're hoping that's the sort of thing would have been ironed out in pre-season. Which, all right, there's a lot of people in, and it hasn't been. So where we are from that point of view. But it's like you say, I mean, like, the elephant in the room is the James McLean situation in midfield. I mean, I don't think anything has sort of sparked debate among Derry fans like it over our first 3 games, and
it's crazy.
Some of them are flying into silly.
It's far too early. I think there was boos after that final also. Directed at Tiernan and Lynch, directed at the team,
at the result,
and the result. But as far as I know, like, James was getting the sore touch as well too, in terms of because he made a couple of errors in that game, and where it could have been proved costly in the second half towards the end of the game when they were chasing it and he was losing possession. We seen it with Flores in the first half, who anticipated him taking a touch when he was receiving it off the keeper or the centre half, and he hounded him down, and he almost got caught out in that when he turned and got away from him in the end up. But it's going to take time for James to get used to that position, and like he's a smart guy, he's a smart footballer.
You don't do what he's done when you can't play football.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of guys jumping in. Roddy Collins has got the
Well,
reaction
we discussed
he wanted,
that, yes.
but he got the reaction he's wanted.
No, that's planted a seed, and perhaps we talked about it. I brought it up last week in the podcast, and it's just probably shouldn't have given him that fuel for the fire kind of thing. But it is like people are looking for him dropped and saying that Tiernan's not big enough to do that. But for me, why would you drop James McLean? You can definitely, I think you could probably try him out in a different position, or you stick with him and know that maybe he's doing it in training and it's working and they're working a plan. Tiernan discussed this with James way before he was signed about where he envisaged them playing, and it was that number 6 role in the midfield.
Well, you see, that's where I would don't get me wrong. I'm the same as yourself. I think some of the things people are saying it's getting a wee bit nonsensical, and. Do I believe he's a sitting midfielder? No. Now, I'm saying if he's going to play midfield, I would love to see him sitting in more in an 8 role. And I don't think Derry at home need to have 2 sitting midfielders. And the best sitting midfielder they have at the club,
Gary
Winchester. So you put him at the base of whatever, play James on the left in front of him, maybe Clark, whoever you want. And then you're starting to work a triangle with James on the left, Mickey Duffy, and probably Brandon Fleming, which I could see being productive. But what I don't think James's his abilities are best served being the sitting man in there, because his strength to me is always his drive and runs and his delivery, and you're maybe taking that away from him if he's sitting in there, But I think the debate over James playing central midfield is probably overshadowing an awful lot of other issues in the team at the minute. Do you know what I mean? He's a big target. He's got broad shoulders. He can take that. It's not going to worry him.
It'll drive him on.
Yeah, it'll drive him on. It's not going to worry him. But James playing in there, can he play centre midfield? He can. Of course he can. I just don't think he can play sitting midfield.
Well, how big of a difference as we've seen the people playing wide? Like I know I'm talking top of the game. Like Alexa Ryan Giggs was playing like left winger all his career, shifted on that midfield role thing. So it's possible for people to do. We're talking Ryan Giggs here. Like he's a legend, as you know, better in Bearcamp. But you're a happy man with Arsenal. He's aren't bottling it anymore. It seems to be he seems to be on the way. This league title, this elusive league title, like Derry City's hopefully, is on the way.
No comment.
You're not blighting it. No. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like it's not impossible for a player to adapt on the central midfield role from playing all his career like on the channels. Like
he has done it, and look, as again I keep saying it, it's. People don't like hearing it's a new squad, and there is that sort of bedding in period. The problem is we're not seeing an awful lot to sort of hang our hat on at the minute. You know what I mean? There doesn't, like I was looking at a Bows team who could say the same. They've brought in plenty of new faces and things like that. I thought Jordan Flores was actually the best player on the pitch, but
he was excellent. Now Dawson Devoy, I think.
I would say he was quiet until the free kick. He won the match.
Even defensively, I thought Dawson Devoy was fantastic. And like it was in that reverse fixture last season, it was 1-0 Derry City, and it was a Michael Duffy free kick, if you remember. It was a cracking free kick under the same end.
Match winners.
Dawson Devoy, and that's what it is. Were we too over-reliant on Mickey Duffy last year to produce those kind of moments? Are we trying to rely on Mickey Duffy to produce them now? He's not always going to be there. They sort of pull you out of fires, but we thought we had more match winners in this squad than we had in a long time. The question I would like to ask, Mick, and I know a lot of people are talking because it's about recruitment, and you mentioned that pre-season that's where you work in these patterns and work and bringing players in and all the rest, but who's first of all behind this recruitment? Is it Tiernan identifying the players? We did have, and he did say about having a recruitment head of recruitment done from the start of the season. It's all gone very quiet in that regard. So they haven't officially announced him, and perhaps is he even there anymore? Who's making these decisions? And when they are making decisions, are they buying these players because they're available, because they're top end players?
Yeah.
Or has he buying them thinking, right, I have a void here on the right hand side. I have somebody that I need, as a number 10 or a right back or whatever. And we're all seeming to have the same style of players that we're bringing on, and that's what people are asking now. They wouldn't be asking these questions if we were scripting by 1-0, 2-1, but winning. No. Now it's just because like that. The sound's definite now because of the result on Friday night, and it lets people have an excuse to sort of ask these questions.
The sort of players that brought in bring a hell of a lot of expectation with them. That expectation breeds excitement. The excitement that you obviously were away on one of your holidays for the opening match of the game, but you could feel the place was electric, and they got the win that night. That just fed in, but you also have to. There needs to be a realism too. I mean, because it's like you say. I don't think if you go back to before a ball was kicked this year and ask any Derry City fan, do you want to sign James McLean? Yes. Do you want to sign Clark? Yes. Yep. Do you want to sign Markey?
But
yes.
It's not fantasy football.
But that's my point. And what we need, as I say, it's not very clear. I mean, in terms of the process of who's saying, I'm sure Tiernan probably has the final say. But does Tiernan, as you say, give that to somebody to go and try and find somebody, or does he give them a list which he works off? We don't really know what way it works. But what you have to say about the recruitment in the closed season is what they're trying to fix now with Cotter. There doesn't, as you said, I didn't realise he had said himself, but you also had the goalkeeping situation, which we didn't have a
didn't have a backup, yes, you're right. But Tiernan did say, and I think that's what you're trying to allude to. Well, Kevin's not here, I have to represent. Yes, Tiernan afterwards had said that he's not sure of his best 11 right now at this minute. He's not 100% sure on the best structure or formation they play with and incorporate and integrate the new players on. And that for me was a bit of a, when he said it, I was like, really, you should know your best 11. Even at this early stage, I know you're trying on different things and you're testing things. He didn't have a great pre-season in terms of the amount of fixtures. Yeah. A couple of games called off and stuff like that, but you should have a general idea who you have. Now, it's been fairly consistent, apart from that problematic right-back area, but he has played more or less the same kind. We've had 3 changes on Friday. I'm not sure what on the week before from the Sligo game, but there wasn't too many. I think Bannon was out. And,
I think it was 2 if I'm right.
Maybe O'Reilly back in. Obviously, the fourth one with Maher.
Yeah. I would think, I know what you're saying, and I think you're right. I don't mind him saying, I don't know my best 11 at this point. That's fine. You've so many new players. You're putting things out. I would be more worried if you didn't know how you wanted them to play. Saying you don't know your best 11. He's a good squad. There are plenty of top quality players. So not knowing the exact 11 that you want to put out week in, week out, to me that's fair enough. We're early in the season. Not knowing how you want this 11 when you get it finalised, how you want them to play, that would be a worry.
That's a different story, and that's potentially what he meant by that. So if we give him grace on that, but he also now he has a problem. He's got Josh Thomas up there leading the line. He's not a number 9 as such in terms of.
He's busy. I like Josh.
I think he's excellent. I think he's excellent, but he would benefit with having a Liam Boyce or a Dippo Aganyami up there, and who has come on now for the last 2 games, 25 minutes each and around that he's come on as a substitute. He's a different kind of option. Tiernan seems to think, and that's the impression I get, that once he's fully fit, he's going to be our striker. Liam Boyce, we're hearing is going for surgery tomorrow, which is Monday. He's getting the knee scraped out from I think he did the ACL last year or the year before when he was with Hearts. The hamstring was the problem that he was getting over from the end of last season, but he's also got a tear in the calf, which is the problematic one, which is keeping him out for. I wouldn't expect him to see him back for before the summer, which is a big issue.
That's a big blow.
Big blow, surely, because Liam's experience, everything else, and so you're really reliant now on Dippo getting fit.
Well, it's the one thing I would say. It's just a wee bit of what you're touching on there. I think Derry have a lot of players that I would say play off. They don't engage with the defenders. Now, at the minute, you've got Josh, who's trying to engage sometimes 4 and 5 defenders on his own, and he's doing it gamely. I actually love his energy. I love what he's getting about. But Derry have a lot of players that I would call play off near the second ball. Your classic number 10 who's waiting for it to break and then playing a pass, or waiting for it to be fed back to him. They don't have enough players in my book that go in and engage defenders. Play with their back, push. Like it's not really Mickey's game. It's not really Marky's game. It's not really Clark's game. Which means that we're doing a lot of nice football in parts of the pitch that the opposition don't really care about. They're doing it in front of us. You're all right. I would like to see them, and maybe Diplo's a man. Just somebody to give the defenders occupied and ask them questions. Engage them, push them about, because I think that creates the spaces, and that's one area I don't think Derry have really. We're swinging balls into the box again, but you've seen Friday night. We put plenty of balls in, but Sam Todd.
It was just it was too easy for them. And Hickey, the two of them were just feeding off that. That was just their. Their game.
Talking to Kevin, myself and Kevin had a bit of a chat about that just as I was leaving the Brandywell Friday night. And he was singing the praises of Sam and Pat Hickey. And don't get me wrong, I thought they didn't put a foot wrong, but I thought it was too easy an evening for them.
Yeah, they weren't tested properly.
Exactly. If you've got 2 6-foot plus centre halves, and you're going to ask them to head and kick all day, and they did.
But they're a real presence there. And Hickey obviously had the crossbar too. He's a real threat. Yeah. He was playing striker last year. But the times when we did get him behind, and Mickey went out on the left, and was one piece of magic from him crossing it in, and went on under the. Well, it should have been a goal with Josh Thomas at that stage. And these could change the game, so you can't kind of get too disheartened, too worried about it. And as you were saying, Tiernan must have an idea of what the team he wants. He's been hamstrung in terms of a couple of injuries with the players and things like that, and guys come back from full fitness. He's trying a few wee things at the start. This is when they do it, I suppose, too. I know pre-season ideally, but now I wouldn't get too carried away with results. You want to see, after 3 games, going on to the Waterford game now on Friday, you would like to see a few ideas and a few no more lateral passing, and passing it back and taking it off the defender and rolling it out to the it's just lethargic, and I think the players out of position has a big factor in that, because there's the confidence is sort of zapped out of them slightly. They don't have that real belief that Bows had on Friday night. These players are all comfortable. You mentioned Reynolds making a few signings in the close season, but they tweak it.
Tweaks. Yeah,
they're only tweaks, and we've made 12 new signings. Now this is Tiernan Lynch's third window.
It's a new squad, nearly.
It's a new squad, and we're hitting the bar every time. I understand he wants this is his. He had the summer window, which isn't really a real window. You've got guys like Frizzle and your own players. Bannon were on Frizzle's away to Lumfield, and Bannon's still here to the summer.
Summer window, great bit of
Fleming was fantastic. It's not notoriously a hard window to get players on, and they change their squad and stuff. So he's really only had his first window where he came late to the party, and it was in the end of November, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When he was appointed. So he's working. He's behind the 8 ball there in terms of trying to get the players that he wants on, that he might that's going to fit the way he's playing. So this is his first real window. So you can understand why he's made 12 new signings, Mike. And now, the likes of Mark Connolly, as we discussed, and Ronan Boyce, that was the area where you have nobody to come on. Ideally, you want people to come on straight away, so you fill the void. Yeah. You ideally want people that are going to be better than what you've let go. And for me, they have a Mark Connolly there, the right-sided centre half now, would be ideal. They have Ronan Boyce, obviously.
I'll ask you this question: if you were picking the team after what you'd seen on Friday night, would you start Mark Connolly and Ronan Boyce in the team that started on Friday night?
Without a doubt. Well,
that's the question answered then.
Exactly, and I think if Tiernan was being honest, he would as well. But he has his reasons for letting them go. Ronan Boyce, I think, it didn't happen snappy enough. The guy's trying to look after his own future, and it coming to Christmas time, and Pats are knocking on the door, going, "Listen, I think
it shouldn't have got to Christmas.
It shouldn't have got. Surely, and you can understand. Oh, you're waiting on somebody else. They say, before you can you can tell definitively, Ronan, no, we don't need you next season. But for me, it has to be done a lot sooner. You're opening the door for players. They go then and be offered or
like a club like
contracts.
Derry City, a player like Ronan. To me, that's somebody you're talking in the summer. He's a homegrown player. Yeah. I'm sure he's not on a fortune of money. And will he start if you get the guy in that, maybe it was Cotter that he was always after? Would he start ahead of Ronan? Maybe. But would Ronan be valuable in the squad? 100%. You're talking about a guy who was in the team of the season. Or team of the season 2 season, am I right? Two seasons ago,
yeah. So, he was scoring goals, he was getting under the positions, and Tiernan sung his praises for doing that, getting under the box. He wanted more box entries.
You're one of your phrases you love, yeah.
But he can play the right side of the three at the back. He can play right wing back. He can play right back.
That was a strange one.
I think, and we're just bringing that up because it's what's on the mouth of the lips of the fans at the minute.
It's down to what you're saying is the strategy of who we're bringing in and why we're bringing them in. More importantly, because you'd like to think that there is an idea that Tiernan and Seamus and all are working towards, and fans, like, they're not going to sit down here and tell us. They're not going to pull the car up beside a fan and say, here, this is the way I want to play this year. So we're trying to gauge how they want to play based on what we see on the pitch and the players that they're bringing in. And I've sort of seen 2 or 3 matches now. You've seen 2 or 3. We've seen the signings, and I can't really work out what they want to do yet. And I think that's probably what's sowing the seeds for everybody thinking, hang on a second, we thought we were challenging titles here, but we're not really sure what we're seeing. We're seeing some good stuff, yeah. The players we brought in, you could tick them all off and go, would you want him? Yeah. But it has to work in the melting pot, and so far in the first 3 games it hasn't. I think personally a large part of that is to do with that imbalance on the right hand side. The thing with James in the middle is overshadowing so much else because that's what fans want to talk about. As I say, I think that's why Roddy was playing his wee game, throwing that one in. Will he be proved right? I don't think so. I still think I'm going to go against a lot of what people are saying. I think James can play in the middle fine. I just don't think he's a sitting player. I think he's more dynamic than that. So I want to see him if he is going to play in there, play more advanced, play the 8, play up beside that sort of thing. But again, you're looking at it and still saying we're saying that's where we want to see it, but we haven't seen that pattern of play yet. No, we haven't seen sort of an identity. I hate using that word because that's like a modern.
But you're right. But there hasn't been enough time even on the pitch. We say 3 games in pre-season. We should have had this all sorted. But in the games, Winchester, are you playing Winchester and McLean? You are for 2 games, but Winchester's playing right back and you have O'Reilly on there. And if you're trying to get these relationships built up, then you've got to play them together for 60 odd minutes in every game. And it's not happened so far. So you've got to I would say you're going to see a very different James McLean on Friday night against Waterford. I think he's when he gets a butt between the teeth and he's got he can prove people wrong. I see in social media where he's made comment about this and about fans kind of shooting from the hip and getting a wee bit carried away after a couple of performances. Yes, there's worrying signs, but you've got to give it a wee bit of time. But
don't get me wrong. The one thing I would probably disagree with what you said, that results are everything. I know I would. You have to take results at this point, but nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect. And we did see last year, which I thought was a very positive sign, how Derry did become stronger the longer the season went on. Now, what you don't want is for it to take to August to happen again. We need this to kick into gear in next week, the week after, later. You can't give teams like Shamrock Rovers, Bows and all these boys a head start because you won't catch them.
No.
But
as I say, obviously you don't maybe want to be losing, especially at home or especially at these early stages. But Shamrock Rovers lost 8 times last year, won the league. I think they drew 9. It's going to be even probably more competitive this year because I think Bows, we've seen how strong they've started and how good their squad is, how they've gelled together so quickly because they haven't had so many changes. I think they're going to be well involved. I think we flew under the radar a wee bit. Now they're definitely in the conversation in terms of challenging.
If you look at Alan Reynolds and how he's gone about he started with a base. The 2 boys we were talking about earlier. He's brought in Hicken, he's brought in Todd to shore up a bit because he wants a base there.
Well, defensively they were frail. Yeah. That was their Achilles heel.
So he's addressed that. Derry have nearly a whole new defence, and I always think if you don't have that settled defence, then everybody's a wee bit of doubt in everybody's head.
Well, even the keeper,
even the goalkeeper.
Like if you don't have like you've Brian Maher behind you, at least that's about a.
Well, they've had 3 goalkeepers in 3 games.
Yeah,
that says a lot.
And Shea Callister did well, but I think everybody recognised that we needed somebody with more experience and more presence, and we've got a 22-year-old on loan from Kilmarnock who has played SBL games like this season. Now, what did you make of his performance, Eddie Beach? He obviously, you mentioned the goal. He got his fingertips there at first glance, and in real time, it seemed that he could have maybe put it over the bar. When you see it again, I think it was just such a good strike, and I
think that's one of the ones where you gotta give credit to Dawson Devoy. I mean, you could go through every goal and pick out, could he do this? Could he do that? Look, that was just it
was a great
free
strike.
kick, and I thought Beach done well to get across. In an ideal world, tips it over the bar, but I thought he done okay. There was a couple of. There's one in the first half that was sort of scooted across. I think the one it almost ended up in the back of the net.
That's right.
It came off the post.
I think he made it he parried it clear, and he panicked a wee bit at that stage. It looked
but again, he's a setting and appeared. And overall, I mean, I thought his kicking was decent. He probably needs to take about 10 yards off his kicks. They were that big, but. He's a big unit, big tall guy.
Seems very calm and collected.
I thought in terms of a first game, I didn't think he did much wrong. I don't think you could criticise him. He seemed to settle in well. Bear in mind that he, I think it was you told me, he only really met everybody for the first time on Thursday.
He was on training, impressed Anthony Fenley and Tiernan enough to get him straight on then. But we'll reserve judgment on Eddie Beach because he did well in his first.
Well, he's going to get a run. He's going to get a run now, so we're going to get a good close look, and it's a sort of probably a question I'll be asking you and Kevin about 6 weeks once we see 5, 6, 7, 8 games in it. Providing the 2 years aren't on holidays again at that point. But,
you're up next, Mike. but we're talking about that defence, and we had Paddy McLean playing that right centre half role, which again you've seen him cutting onto the left and using his left foot. He's predominantly left-footed. That has been an issue. The Ben on the right hand side last week Friday night did the same thing onto the left, and I spoke to him afterwards. Now he was laughing about it, saying like it's obviously it's not his preferred role, but he would play goalkeeper. He always said I would do anything to be on this team. Like he's a Derry man through and through, and he's proud to wear the shirt. And this is what Ben Doherty said after the match.
Ben, that's took a bit of magic from Dawson Devoy. They won the game, but hugely disappointing.
It is. It's a disappointing night. I thought the first half and the way we started the game, we probably were on the front foot and we made the game probably a bit more intense, and we had that wee bit of doggedness about us that we probably missed in the first 2 games where we were on the front foot and we sort of had squeezed them into their half and we got a few chances from it. And if you score in them first 20-30 minutes, it's probably a different game because as we know in this league, it's moments in the game, and he scored a great free kick, but it came from our own doing ultimately, and we probably didn't do enough then to go on and get something from the game.
Because the first half, both teams had big chances. They get in front, but I know it's early days. But it's a familiar story, chasing the lead, and it's just making things difficult for yourselves.
That's it. Like it's the first 3 games. I think now we've went a goal behind, and it's an uphill battle from there. And we can't keep doing that, especially not with the standard and the quality that's in the league now this year, if we want to go on and do what we have to do. But ultimately, as players and a group, and we have to put that right now, and that starts again now on Monday for Waterford coming next Friday night.
Yeah, and I think it was your first start since April last year, so I'm sure you're glad to get on the pitch, an unfamiliar right back position. So, but for you, it's just a case of getting back out there. As you're delighted with that.
That was it. It's like obviously it's been well documented the past year I've had in terms of injuries and that. So, look, it's for me personally, it was an unbelievable night to complete 90 minutes and get back out there. But from a team's point of view, it's obviously disappointing. But right back, as you say, it's as I said before, if the gaffer asked me to play in nets, I'd play in nets. It's just one of them things you would do. So, look, I was delighted to get the call, and it was. Personally, I thought I did well in the game. As you said, it's an unfamiliar position for me, but not too dissimilar. Just couldn't get my right foot swinging at times.
I thought you did well, but I think you joked before the start of the season about fielding a full team of left footers as well too, and there does seem to be a wee imbalance in the squad at the minute, doesn't there? Like, you know, it's and I know it's very early with a lot of new signings and stuff, but Tiernan's trying to find that sort of right mix, isn't he? Like, and how's it been as a player, sort of in training and everything else leading up on the games?
And that's it. Like, it's ultimately it's up to the manager at the end of the day to try and find what's right. And tonight he's went with me at right back, and next week it could be someone different. I'm not 100% sure. That's the decision he has to make. Us as players, we can only go out and train and give our best all through the week, and then the manager picks the team. But it's the 11 players that go out there on a Friday that have to go and improve on what we've shown in the last 3 weeks.
I suppose we'll get a huge lift off this result, like, and you know, a lot of people, I suppose the pressure's been on Derry because of all the signings and the money spent and things like that. But what would you say to fans, because it's very, very early in the season and there's still a lot of promise in this squad?
That's it. As it's like I've spoke now about the group, and there's a lot of new faces, and it's just not going to fix overnight. It's 3 games into the season, and obviously I've watched the first 2 games and then being involved tonight. You can definitely feel connections and everything starting to gel that wee bit better, and we can see it through the week. It's not just going to click like that, but there's ultimately a lot of hard work going on throughout the week, and in units and defensive groups and in the attacking groups to try and improve on what we're given now on Friday nights. And it's not for the lack of trying either. Like, everyone's there, they've ran themselves into the ground, and there's no one walking about or moping about. We're not carrying anyone. It's everyone's going, and we're just probably not getting that wee rub of the green that we need now, or ultimately doing enough to go on and get things from games. But tonight was one of them games where 2 teams probably just cancelled each other out that wee bit, and a team that's managed by Rennie is obviously always defensively well set up, and we know what he's like, and we know what he's like to work with. So going 1-0 down, it was a massive uphill battle for us.
I think when the fixtures came out, everybody was giving these 12 points from the first 4 home games, you know, so it's never like that. These every game's so difficult, but it's a chance to redeem yourselves now and another the last of those 4 home games now against Waterford.
That's it. Like, you know, no one in this league is going to go and win every single game. It's unheard of. It's the standard of the league has got better year on year, and teams now are coming up to the Brandywell and making it really difficult for us. Obviously the pitch isn't the biggest help for us in terms of that, and that's going to change as well. So look, there's a lot of things changing in terms of players and the surface, so it's a long way to go, and as you said, we're only 3 games in now, so it's just stick with us, and we'll stick together to improve things on the pitch. So
it was I don't think he doesn't want to get carried away. He understands the frustration from the fans, Mick, but you know, in terms of his own performance, he said himself he felt he equipped himself well. It was just unnatural.
Yeah, I don't think Ben really done anything wrong. I mean, what he had to do, he done perfect. But it's as you were talking earlier about, you know, round pegs and square holes. And
Is that what it was?
But he's done everything right. He's just, if you're so predominantly left-footed as Ben is, your tendency is to, you know, go to your stronger side. So, which means you tighten the game up rather than, you know, a right-footed player who's going to look to go down around the outside. So, no, I thought Ben, in as much as he could do as a left-footed right back, done very well. You know,
he did,
and he did use his left foot sometimes to throw a couple of balls in. And I thought it did balance it again, as we said earlier, when Mickey Duffy, James Clark, and all, one of them 2 came across to the right side, because then at least you had somebody stretching the Bows back line. What sort of annoyed me slightly in it was when you don't have that, you had those centre halves, there's those towering centre halves we're talking about, who were able to keep it tight. You know, and that's where I think maybe if Ben's on the other side, you know, he's flying up the wing. Yeah. He's flying up the wing, but he would be a bit probably more cautious, because he knows if I get up there, I'm going to have to turn back anyway. So I thought he was good. I don't think you could say anything, you could pick any fault in it. Just that he would say himself, he's probably predominantly left-footed.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, in terms of the goal, it was decided by a piece of magic by Devoy, as we've discussed. Like, but Tiernan he's pulling his hair out in terms of all these costly defensive errors, and I know we don't blame the goalkeeper for that at all. But it was just, I think it was Gareth McGlunn maybe on commentary in LOI TV saying basically if he could pick up the ball and place it where he wanted to place it for a free kick, it would have been in that spot.
Yeah.
Now, Markey it was who hauled him down, and it was just a rush of blood to the head, because he's running back. He tries to hack him down further out. Doesn't get him. Then when there seems to be a bit of cover there, so he's not really going anywhere.
Like
they hack him down,
and then they brought him.
So it's just unfortunate. It was just a needless free kick to give away, and for that position there, it was just it proved costly.
Well, I would agree with you. It wasn't the free kick. I think you take your hat off and you say fair play to him. But the build up to the free kick, that's a different matter. It shouldn't. He should never have got.
They were losing the ball too very, very easily. They were very loose in possession.
It's almost as if there's nearly a tendency that, and I think James is a wee bit like this. He wants so much to do well that he's maybe nearly playing unnaturally. He's trying to do so much for the team because it means so much to him. But sometimes when you're doing that, you're not playing naturally. You're not playing your natural football. Then throw in the imbalance in the team, and there's all those wee factors there where, people trying to do a wee bit too much in the ball, people not playing in natural positions, an imbalance. So, as we said, there's very little on the right hand side. When you throw all those wee things in,
it's
a recipe for what we've seen on Friday night.
Exactly. So, it's Bows go away with 3 points. Derry like their wounds now, and you wonder if it's like everybody had said. The 12 points were on the board for your 4 home games. They started the season brilliant. Rovers are going to be chasing us and all the rest. And we leave there, and then we've got a grass pitch going down, and everything's going to be amazing.
Bear in mind, we still have to play games in Celtic Park, which to the Derry players will be.
It's away.
It's almost like an away ground in the sense that that's not their home ground either.
Foreign game, like.
Yeah.
We're
going to have to cut this.
I just got to poke a bear here, like as our GA correspondent. Like, I don't know how you feel now. Maybe we can get your thoughts on it.
Derry had a great victory Saturday night. I'm delighted.
Outstanding with 20 points. Excellent.
23, but
20 points difference, wasn't it?
20 points half time.
Excellent. But that pitch, you're right. That it's not going to be like you're playing sailing when you go on there. That you're going to like. I was actually playing that free flowing football again.
I was quite, I found it quite amusing before the season where everybody was sort of going, 4 home matches, but sure, there's 12 points straight away. They're all saying, thinking, hang on a wee second, the first 2 you might have expected, to win both of them. They took 4 out of 6 there. Bows was never going to be easy. No. Bows was never going to be, and as we said it before, it wasn't a great performance, but it was one piece of wonder, one piece of magic, whatever you can call it. Won the game, the sort of thing that Mickey Duffy done for us last season. But it was never going to be as straightforward as you turn out there on that pitch. And I hate, we've only got a couple more matches left on it, but on that pitch, you were never going to, going to. Here, there's your 12 points.
Well, Alan Reynolds said afterwards, he was all like, we'll hear from him now, but Kevin McLaughlin asked him afterwards about, because he has always been very vocal about how poor the pitch is, and he asked him about it, and we'll hear what he has to say here.
What a result for your boys, and what a free kick.
Yeah, top quality. I suppose win any game, goal level. I thought we deserved it on the night. I thought we were really good. I thought the first half was scrappy, even though we had 2 really good chances. Derry had a good chance, but I thought both teams were giving it away cheaply and they lacked a bit of quality. I think the second half we just tweaked something, got more possession, got control of the game for a spell. And as I said, great free kick. 10 defended well. It's part of the game that we need to be better at, and we defended really well the last 10.
Obviously last week I watched these against Sligo. It was a cold, wet night in Sligo. You rolled the sleeves up and put on a tremendous performance. As you say tonight, Sam Todd, Hickey, done what they have to do, I suppose.
Yeah, come here. Sam Todd, since he's come in, he's been outstanding for us. Really, really good. Hard to get players left-sided like that, quick, use the ball well, get confidence, loads of confidence, and we have a right player, Pat Hickey, beside him. But they've been pushed every week. They're being challenged with Stevie and Alan Derry Penn, challenged to be good enough to play for Bohemians.
Well, it is one of them. You started nicely. I know everybody's been talking about Derry City, Shamrock Rovers, but you know what I mean. You're a nice big game next week, and you're up there challenging.
Yeah, look at me here. It's 3 games into it, so we're not talking about it. We just know it's a massive game next week. We'll look back on this, what we can do better, and the focus will move quickly on to Rovers. And it's great to be playing in Dalymount. For me, it was we've had 3 away games this year. So. To get into Dalymount, and good return of points, but we look to go and win next week.
And the next time you're back here, you'll be probably playing next door or on a grass pitch.
I think both teams would be better from that. In fairness to the Derry lads, that say you get them on grass. I know the first 4 games at home, I'd say they prefer to be playing some of them on grass. You know, they can look at it as if it's a bonus to be playing. I'm not sure for some of those lads. I look at Mickey Duffy, Clarkey and all, James McLean, they want to be on grass, really good players.
So Alan Reynolds, as you say, he's not a fan of that pitch. Now he's walking around about smiling his face as he had 3 points, but he did say, listen, like, it's not having these home matches for Derry on that pitch. They'd probably rather have 4 away matches
and have the 4 matches on the grass pitch.
Yes, and I think you made that point when you were on the last time, Mick. But it is right. You've got players like Mickey Duffy, James Clark, and who he knew all about, and you know what, Markey, and they can travel with the ball when it's on the pitch, and it's so unpredictable that pitch. So maybe now we've got Waterford on Friday night. And I suppose we can get under that one, but the fact that it's people will still look at it as 4 home games, and if you just come away with it with 4 points or 5 points from possible 12, it's not a good return. The pressure is now on this match on Friday night. Waterford haven't done set the world alight in terms of their start, so you expect 3 points, and again that expectation has been their downfall.
But I think any season, Waterford coming up here, I know Waterford, there've been a couple of shocks over the years, but if you're serious about a title challenge, you need to be winning your home games against Waterford, and I'm not being disrespectful.
No, but you're
I'm
right,
just saying, in terms of the 2 clubs standing, in terms of their, the signings, it's a game you have to be winning, let's be honest. But on the pitch, just what you were saying, I did think, and I said this, I think, to Kevin a week, I thought it was very noticeable, the difference in Derry's performance in the President's Cup final grass and their performance on the, on the 3 matches now. But even on the first 2, even one of the ones that they were winning, it isn't a pitch that allows you to zip the ball about. And some of them players really want to move the ball quickly, want to move quickly. The pitch doesn't allow them to do that. So again, it's what we're saying earlier. Try and not. You can't get too high with. You can't get too high with the highs and too low. I think
I'm not sure we're going to have a visitor here.
Seems to be we have an elevator trying to talk to us here. But you can't get too high with the highs. They won the first game in injury time. The league title was ours. Now we've had a blip, and it was a poor game. But now suddenly, we're the worst in the world. We're not really. It's somewhere in between. And the pitch does play a part in that.
Massive factor.
Of course, Bows have to play on the same pitch. I will say that. But as much as they probably edged it in terms of being the better team of the night, I don't think Bows were outstanding either.
No, they were just as you said too. They're just better structure. They knew their own game. They knew what they were doing. They knew where everybody was going to be, and
they look like a team further down the line in development.
And they are, and that's the frustrating thing for fans and for me looking at it too, is where you have a team that's just. You finished a couple of points off Shamrock Rovers. Yeah. I know that wasn't a general reflection on the league, but that's where we were, and it just seems like you need a couple of tweaks. Now we did say Tiernan wants to probably have his own team, his own in his own sort of image, and he's working towards that. But do you sacrifice that then for? Are you going to win another year for like a proper title challenger for that league title? We'll wait and see there, but
it is a big question. I mean, are you at the end of last season? Did we think we were 11 or 12 players off Rovers? Maybe some people would have said, yeah. I'm not sure.
Well, but you look at the outgoings, like Conley and Boyce. I think they would still be on this team.
I think so.
Danny Mullen scored against Dundalk. I think again they could. He scored for Dundalk, against Drogheda at the weekend.
I thought Danny's a very solid squad player. Even when any time he had to come in, he'd done a job.
So all our players that have gone, there's an argument for and against keeping them. That's Tiernan's decision.
That's it. He has to make these decisions, and I mean that's why when people are getting so excited again, we do have to say exactly what we said at the start of the caveat. We're 3 games in. Yeah. If Derry go and win their next 3 games, for example. This whole panic will flip again to, unheralded excitement at a league title.
We're back on the bandwagon again.
Exactly. So you have to try and just, temper your expectations when they get a last minute winner, for example, but then try and keep yourself calm when things don't go the way.
100%.
Now, I'm saying that, and I'm in no way downplaying that there's issues in the team. Yeah. Everybody can see them.
We've got some of the new signings that he's brought on. Some of those 12 we're not really seeing much of them, like, are we?
No,
Like, you know,
that's
so
true.
we've got Dos Santos, you've got Ryla, and we've got Olienka, who's coming up against his former club Waterford now on Friday night too. Haven't really seen much of them. They're coming on as a sub the odd time. Olienka, we haven't seen, you know,
Not really at all. Bar a couple.
So and it's like he plays in that midfield role where we've got an abundance of talent and options. So it'll be interesting to see more out of him. Are these players that are going to? It's going to be a long season. We've got Europe coming up and things like that too. So we'll wait and see. We'll not get too carried away in terms of the other results. Shamrock Rovers up and running, big result and impressive against Pats in Tala 2-0.
That was only ever if not when. You know, there were
No, but there was question marks about how Pats were going to. Like, they weren't very good against Bows in opening day against Aviva, but we weren't too sure how what they expect from Pats, and I think Stephen Kenny was happy that nobody knew too much. They've got James Brown on there now too, and from, you know,
great
former
soul singer.
I wanted him to come to Derry just for the headlines, but again, and then there's question marks over where he's playing, and is he competition for Ronan Boyce too? So it's, you know, it was a strange one if they needed him or whatever, but
it's a better, again, that's what we're doing. It's better to have the two of them.
of course, if you're looking to win a league title, and it's just about managing the men and managing the players and keeping them happy and rotating
two players
them.
for every position is your ideal scenario.
Exactly, but the other games, I suppose, that Dundalk and Drogheda won each. Louth Derby, like we seen Dundalk last week. We were impressed by how they started.
Steady for them so far, yeah.
Drogheda were top of the league and won two ones from two. The ugly scenes, we know about the 4G pitch and flares and stuff like that. It's brand new, spanking new pitch that they've waited to get back on. They delayed their home start of the season, and then it's like really badly scorched. The flares, the stands were ripped up as well too, and things like that. So it's just ugly scenes, and you know, it's kind of thing you just want to. You're fed up talking about and seeing, isn't it? Like,
we see, like, I mean, we've seen it all too often up here. I think me and Kevin were even talking about the scenes, you know, at half time there in the Derry match earlier in the season. The league is doing so much right. I mean, I think the combined total there was 25,000 or something at the matches on Friday night. There, you know, the exposure it's getting across the media is fantastic. The standard of football is up. The players. You know, you're bringing the likes of McLean back to the league. You know, everything's going on an upward trajectory, and then you've idiots doing that.
Exactly, and they're not learning now. Derry came down strong after that game, and you know they
deserve credit.
They issued bans, 12-match bans, isn't it? So that we had no problem. Obviously, the Bows thing we were very worried about because of the last time they were up, went past peacefully from all accounts. And the Dundalk match as well too, not a problem from that. So hopefully that's just nipped on the bud. Maybe Dundalk can follow suit and do.
Like, I mean, you got to feel for the club, because the club's doing all it can to improve facilities, and gets a new pitch laid down, and it doesn't even get 90 minutes out of it before these idiots are throwing stuff onto the pitch, and that costs a lot of money. The money that can't be spent on players and all, and you know. I don't think if any fan of any other club would take any pleasure in seeing that going on at any club. You know, I just think it's terrible to see. It's, you know, catch a grip, boys. Like.
Well, we'll move on to more positive notes hopefully next week, because we've got. I know there's been a lot of doom and gloom, a lot of frustration and anger, and from what they've seen, I think. Hold the horses is what I would say to people, like, because it's still very, very early. Like, you know, it's 36 game season and we're not even nearly there. Like, you know, what I mean? So it's just there's a lot more to come. Waterford, we've got to get the one there on Friday night. I would expect a big performance from Derry. Hopefully it's another sellout. It's the last one at home. Obviously we go to Shamrock Rovers then the following week. You need to pick up a result just for that wee bit of an uplift and confidence, a wee bit of belief going back down to Tala, which we've already got a result from. Just so we'll go with your prediction now, Mick, because I don't know how well your prediction was the last time you were on. Me and Kev are just having a disaster. But
I don't think I can remember how good mine was either,
I think you got it wrong.
I was probably right, like, but no. Look, we said earlier, this is a game Derry have to win. So we're probably only, we're predicting how many they win by. I'm assuming you're going to do the same. you don't want to be going to Rovers, without anything other than 3 points in your pocket. And I think last week, you would like the players. I don't think there's any lack of effort. The players are doing everything they can. They just need a defined system to play in that'll give them a wee bit of confidence to play the way they can. But with that last week's result, sort of still gnawing away at them, I expect them to come flying out. And I would hope, I'm going to say 3-0 Derry, because I just think they have a point to prove. And again, a result like that can change the narrative straight away. All of a sudden we'll be the greatest team in the league again, and people will be telling Tiernan he's winning the Champions League, as he joked about earlier in the season. So I hope to see that sort of reaction. I don't even mind if it doesn't. I'm saying 3-0, but even if it doesn't go to 3-0, I just want to see that level of intensity and that desire again.
Aye, definitely some good sort of patterns and something they shout about, a wee bit of more attacking football and attacking with a purpose. Waterford haven't, as we said, set the world alight outer. You've got Hayden Cann and Arlo Dory. I know Arlo's not starting, but so you've got a couple of familiar faces coming up. Last time they were up here, it was 7-2.
They have a tendency to play very open.
Yes, so I can see where you're coming from with a 3-goal prediction. I would probably go with something the same, but I'm kind of erring on the side of caution given what we've seen. But scoring goals we have shown no real evidence of that. We've got, I know we've got Watts. We've had 2 from the Dundalk match, and 2 in Sligo, but late on and stuff like that. But Derry aren't playing that free-flowing football enough for me to say I can see them going out and scoring 4 or 5. I just can't at the minute. But I'm going to go 2-0. I'll go 2-0 Derry. Like Waterford, they've had 2 draws and a 2-0 defeat. I'm going to go 2-0. I think that's a safe enough bet. So.
I think we're both agreed on. We don't really care about the scoreline. Just get 3
just
points.
A result is
3 points, and let's move on. And at least we'll be past this. We've got 4 games at home. Thing that we've heard about so often. Get into.
Can't wait to get back on the road. Well, that'll do us for this week, folks. Next week, we're expecting to have Lawrence Moore on as guest, so we're looking forward to that. And any questions that you want us to put to Lawrence, I know he was telling everybody that we don't want to be back in the Irish League and stuff, and got on there about a hot water for that. But that could
so all your Irish League questions, please send them.
Send them all on. Let's put him under pressure for next week. He'll probably not be on now after me saying that, but join us next week, folks.